What happens when the same world that crowns you a king decides to tear you down? What happens when the cameras that once celebrated your every move turn into weapons, when every photograph becomes an accusation, when every headline becomes a wound? For Michael Jackson, the media was both his greatest ally and his most merciless enemy. They helped make him the most famous man alive, and then they tried to unmake him. The story of Michael Jackson versus the media isn't just about a celebrity scandal. It's about the rise and fall of an icon, the love and betrayal of the press, and the price of living under a microscope so powerful it could see not only his brilliance, but also his every flaw. From the very beginning, Michael was a media darling. The cameras adored him. The magazines couldn't get enough. The world craved every smile, every dance move, every note. When the Jackson 5 burst onto the scene, journalists hailed him as the little boy with the golden voice, the prodigy who could sing with the soul of a grown man. As he grew older, as Off the Wall and Thriller changed the face of music, the press was right there, documenting every triumph, every record broken, every history-making performance. They called him the King of Pop. They crowned him with headlines that celebrated his genius. But what the world didn't see was that the crown was also a trap. Because the media doesn't just build, they destroy. The higher you rise, the more dramatic the fall becomes. And for Michael Jackson, the fall was brutal. It started subtly, almost innocently. First came the questions about his appearance. His skin tone changed, his face transformed, and suddenly, the media shifted from celebration to speculation. They invented stories, wild, cruel, absurd, that he slept in a hyperbaric chamber to stay young, that he wanted to buy the Elephant Man's bones, that he was bleaching his skin to look white. Michael became the perfect target for tabloid fantasy. He was eccentric, private, different, and different cells. Wacko Jacko, they called him, a nickname that haunted him, one he despised, but one that newspapers plastered on front pages because it sold millions of copies. And once the media realized that tearing him down made money, there was no going back. They followed him everywhere, waiting for mistakes, waiting for anything unusual. They hounded his relationships, mocked his voice, speculated about his sexuality. Even when he tried to do good, to heal the world with charity and kindness, the press twisted it into something strange, something suspicious. For Michael, it was a nightmare. Fame was supposed to bring love, but instead, it brought a circus. But the darkest chapter of Michael's war with the media came with the accusations. In 1993, when the first allegations were made against him, the press didn't wait for evidence, didn't wait for truth. They declared him guilty on their front pages. They showed his Neverland Ranch as if it were a crime scene. They speculated endlessly, turning rumors into fact, fact into spectacle. For Michael, it was devastating. His image wasn't just tarnished, it was shattered. He once said, "The press has made up so many stories about me, they don't know what's true anymore, and they don't care." Even after that first case was settled, the whispers never went away, and the media made sure of it. Every article carried the insinuation. Every headline reminded the world of the scandal. It didn't matter that no conviction had ever been made. In the court of public opinion, fed by the media, Michael was guilty forever. The 2005 trial only made it worse. Cameras captured his every step into the courthouse, his fragile body, his strained face. Night after night, TV anchors dissected every word, every testimony, every detail of his life. And when he was finally acquitted, when the jury said not guilty, the headlines were small, buried, almost reluctant. The same press that had screamed his downfall barely whispered his redemption. This is the cruel reality of fame. Bad news sells, good news does not. And Michael Jackson's good news was never profitable. His genius became background noise, while his struggles became front-page stories. The media didn't care about the man, only the myth, the caricature, the drama. They turned his pain into entertainment, his life into a soap opera. And yet the world watched. Millions consumed those headlines, clicked those articles, bought those tabloids. In a way, the media destroyed Michael because we demanded it. But why Michael? Why was he targeted so relentlessly? The answer is simple: because he was too big. Michael Jackson wasn't just a star, he was the star. He transcended music, culture, and geography. He belonged to everyone, and when someone belongs to everyone, everyone feels entitled to their life. The media knew that every story about him, no matter how cruel or absurd, would sell. And so, they invented, exaggerated, distorted. They made him into a freak, a monster, a joke. They forgot, or chose to ignore, that he was human. And Michael felt it deeply. He often spoke about his loneliness, his sadness, his exhaustion with the press. He said, "Lies run sprints, but the truth runs marathons." He believed that one day, the truth would outlast the lies. But living in the middle of it was unbearable. He built walls around his private life, creating Neverland as a refuge, surrounding himself with those who didn't judge him. Yet even there, the cameras found him. He could never escape. The war with the media also left scars on his artistry. In the 1980s, Michael was untouchable, his music celebrated without question. But by the 1990s and 2000s, every release was overshadowed by scandal. Albums like History and Invincible contained brilliant music, but the press barely covered it. Instead, they focused on his trials, his surgeries, his eccentricities. His artistry was suffocated by the noise of headlines. And the saddest part is that many people forgot in those years that Michael was still making great music. Yet through it all, Michael never stopped trying to send messages of love, peace, and hope. Songs like "They Don't Care About Us" were his direct response to the media, his way of fighting back. In music videos, in lyrics, in interviews, he cried out against the injustice. But the machine was too big, too powerful. The same media that once built his throne now built his cross. And so, when Michael died in 2009, the headlines once again screamed his name. But this time, it was too late. The very press that had tormented him for decades suddenly mourned him, suddenly called him a legend, suddenly praised him as the greatest entertainer who ever lived. The hypocrisy was staggering. In life, they mocked him. In death, they profited from him one last time. But here's the thing. Despite everything, despite the cruelty, despite the endless war, Michael Jackson's legacy survived. The media could distort, they could sensationalize, they could call him names, but they couldn't erase the music. They couldn't erase the way Thriller made the world dance, the way Man in the Mirror made people reflect, the way Billie Jean made generations fall in love with pop all over again. The media tried to destroy him, but they failed. Because true genius doesn't die with headlines. It lives forever in art. Michael Jackson's war with the media is a cautionary tale, not just about him, but about us, about how we consume stories, about how we demand entertainment from human pain, about how we forget that behind every headline is a heart. Michael's life was extraordinary, but his suffering was tragically ordinary, the suffering of a man judged, misunderstood, and denied privacy. In him we see the danger of fame, the cruelty of gossip, the cost of turning people into commodities. So the next time you hear his name, the next time you hear his songs, remember this: Michael Jackson wasn't destroyed by his talent. He wasn't destroyed by his fans. He was destroyed by the relentless hunger of a media machine that never knew when to stop. And yet, he remains undefeated. Because while the headlines have faded, the music still plays, and it always will.